Okay, so we're looking at inputs. Now, one of the very first things that you would have come across was the four main ones, and they're the four essential inputs. It doesn't matter if you're producing a good, it doesn't matter if you're producing a service, there's always the same four that you need. Okay, so enter in what they were.
There was only three. No jokes. Labour, energy, raw materials, and machinery and technology.
Thank you. So we got labour. What was the next one?
Energy.
Thank you.
Raw materials. And then the last one's machinery and technology. So technically there's five, but there's four.
Okay, so we've got labour, energy, raw materials, and machinery and technology. Now, they had a name. There was a three-part name to it. What are they known as?
Inputs.
What are they?
Common direct inputs.
Thank you. Okay, so these, it doesn't matter if you're making a good, making a service, doesn't matter if you're making red t-shirts, doesn't matter if you're doing someone's taxes. These are the four essential things you need, okay? You need labour. Okay, you need employees. It doesn't matter if you're a fully automated company that makes cars, okay, all the robots do everything for you. You still need someone to program them. You still need someone to go and turn them on or fix them when they break. There's never really going to be an instance where you're only ever going to have full automation, okay? So there's still going to be some element of labour being put in there, regardless of how many machines you've got. Okay. When it comes to energy, what does that refer to, you think?
Energy.
Fuels. Power fuels.
So fuel, power. Okay. How are you going to actually run your machines? Okay. You need to be able to switch the lights on so you can see the person's taxes when you're doing that. You need to be able to switch the machine on when you're, making all those red t-shirts. You need to be able to actually power your factory or power your workplace in the first place as well. Okay? So it could be solar panels, good. Could be coal power, could be anything.
Steam.
Okay? Anything to actually, maybe, anything to actually power the machines. Alright? Raw materials, what are we looking at here? So
something taken out of the ground.
Okay, so
natural.
Right, so you can go all the way back to that. It can be, the very first stage. It could be, the lumps of coal. It could be whatever, or it could also be,
iron ore.
the wood ready to go. Okay, so it's basically, very simply. So what materials are going in the process? The actual physical materials itself. So what materials are going into the process? Okay, and then finally we've got machinery and technology. Now, as the name suggests.
Machines.
It's the actual equipment you're using. It's actual equipment you're using, which is going to be powered by the energy, which is going to be switched on by the labour, which is going to then be using those raw materials. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You could have maybe one employee. You might be in the back. You might be making things in the garage. So you only have, the only energy you have is literally just having to switch the light on when you walk in, and it's connected to your house. You might only be using a little bit of fabric, okay, that's your input. A little bit of fabric to make, hair bows you're going to sell on Etsy, whatever it might be. Okay? And the machinery might just be a sewing machine. Doesn't matter how small it is. They're four essential things that all businesses use regardless of how big they are or how small they are. Alright, now this is when it starts to get a bit tricky, okay? We're going to break them into two different types now. We've got transformed and transforming. Now, do you remember which category those inputs went into? What goes into the transformed category?
Material?
Thank you. What kinds of materials?
Basic materials, elements.
Basic elements. Raw energy.
Thank you. So we've got...
It's both raw and... What's that line? Intermediate. Whatever.
Thank you. Raw and intermediate. So, we've got these raw materials, which were your wood, which were your fabric, which, whatever it might be, the really small stuff, okay? What's an intermediate material? So this is your...
I thought you were talking about doors, as in...
No, I was thinking of
I was like, why would you put it
Do you remember that, acronym STM?
Storm.
Yeah.
Storm.
Simply...
Transformed. Material.
Not material.
Marble.
Yeah, thank you. A simply transformed manufacture. So this could be, they've taken a piece of metal, they've turned it into a screw. That screw, for that company that makes screws, is the final product. That's it. They're done. But for a car company or a computer manufacturer, that screw becomes just another input of what they need to make their final product. Okay? So an intermediate material is something that has been processed, is sort of in the middle. So this, for example, could be like that fabric that's been dyed red, but it hasn't been turned into a shirt yet. Okay? So the red fabric will go in as an intermediate material and then it'll be transformed later on into the actual finished product, which is a t-shirt. Okay? So materials, that one is fairly straightforward. Okay? They're a transformed resource. It goes in one form and it comes out in another form. Okay? They're transformed. That one's very straightforward. The other ones that are a bit trickier though are information. Okay? Which has got both internal and external information. Now, don't just say internal's information that comes from inside the business and external's ones that come outside of the business. That's very straightforward, but give me some examples. What are some examples of internal information or external information? Have a go.
Internals inside the business.
I just said not to say that. Give me an example of it. What kind of information comes from inside the business?
Can do surveys.
Good, thank you. So we got surveys. What else someone say? What was it? Customer surveys. Perfect. Okay, they use those customer surveys to then figure out or transform their ideas of what do people want. What about external information? What's that?
Is that can you relate that to competitors, the competitors, and sort of what their prices are?
Yeah.
And say you have to change it to suit or match better than theirs.
Perfect, exactly. It can be anything. What's that?
What's that called?
So that can be competitor sales data. It could be even just going to the Australian Bureau of Statistics website. And the last form of transformed was what?
Customers.
Customers. Now this one's always the confusing one. Okay, how can customers be a transformed resource? Aren't customers the people that just get something at the end? Okay, now this relates to really not so much maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago where companies basically just told people what they were going to get and whether they liked it or not, that's what they got. Today though, there's a lot more customer relations. So you go to a local coffee shop, okay, you pick up that little loyalty card, they start to know your name, they build that relationship with you. Okay, so now they've realised that if we actually listen to what people want and what they need, we can make more money because we're actually giving them what they want and need, rather than just telling them what they want and need. Okay, if I went around and said, you guys need a red t-shirt, and you said, you know what, I prefer green. Okay? And I say, no, all you're going to get is a red t-shirt. Are you going to buy that red t-shirt?
No.
No, because that's not what you want. Okay? But if I took the time and asked you and said, hey, what do you guys actually want? And you say, we want a blue t-shirt. Okay? Then I'd actually say, okay, well that's now shaping the inputs. That's now shaping my decisions. And I say, okay, you know what? Rather than buying 100,000 litres of red dye, why don't I buy 100,000 litres of blue dye instead? Because that's what people actually want. Okay? So that's the three types of transformed inputs. So the materials that actually go in, and then the information and the customer, not so much customer satisfaction, but customer perceptions, customer wants and needs, what they want. Okay, what customers want and need, that shapes the decisions I make of what do I actually put into my business. Last one, what's in the transforming?
Human resources.
Thank you. What are they?
HR.
Yeah, but what are they though?
So, workers, like.
Thank you. The labour, the employees. Okay, the employees. Okay, they're the ones that actually do the transforming. They're the ones that actually get the information from people, get the information from the government website, wherever it might be, get the raw materials, and actually transform it, do something. Okay? Think of it like a meat grinder. Okay? It's probably the worst kind of analogy I can think of, but think of a meat grinder. Okay? It's a little thing with the little holes in it, you crank around, you put a whole bunch of meat in there, and it comes out like minced meat. Okay? think of a business like a meat grinder. You get all these things go in, okay? Raw materials, information, customers, not physically, okay? They go into this meat grinder. The business, turns a little crank, turns a little thingo. It puts them all together. It mixes them all together, and it comes out in the end with
Sausage.
comes out with the apple, the finished product. Okay? They've taken all this information, okay, all these inputs. They've transformed them. They've put them all together. They've made something out of it. And at the end, they've come out with their finished product. You don't have to use the analogy of a meat grinder if that creeps you out for an example. We're just looking at value adding, okay? Don't use the meat grinder. Use something else.
Imagine a HSC writer, Marco, reading that.
This bloke's
The
talking about
customers and
meat.
everything into a meat grinder.
Yeah.
What the hell is
Yeah.
wrong with this person?
Please don't write that. Please don't write that. So these guys are the people that are actually doing the transforming. They're doing the changing, okay? And then what else have we got? What's the last one? Facilities. Okay, this is...
Jesus loves you.
Thank you. Plant machinery, factories, any actual equipment they've got. Okay, so this can be the lathe that they put the plank of wood on to turn it into a table leg. Okay, could be the printing press where they print the newspapers out. Okay, but the actual physical machine, it's something that does something. Okay, now, what word do we give it? The proper business word. Something that produces something else.
Manufacturing, isn't it?
No. Starts with C.
Collaboration, compliance,
Customers.
Starts with C.
Competition.
Something that produces something else.
Cats.
Brittany?
come together.
No?
What?
Give us a second one.
I missed
go.
it.
Hangman.
Oh, Brittany.
L.
A.
One at a time.
A.
Wait, what is that?
It is capital. Capital labour substitution.
Whoa.
Okay, it's a concept that we're going to look at very briefly. So let's just break it down very quickly. What's capital again?
Capital is facilities.
Yeah, so machinery, technology, facilities. So machinery, technology, facilities, something that produces something else. Okay? Something that produces something else. This school is capital. Okay, you come in uneducated and you leave educated. Capital is your machinery, technology, facilities, something that produces something else, okay? A taxi cab, the actual car, that's capital. It produces a service. People go in point A, people get in the cab at point A, and they get brought to point B. It's done something for them. Okay? You can still work with services. Alright? Even something as simple as a pair of scissors for a hairdresser. Okay, a pair of scissors for a hairdresser, that's capital. It's something that gives them value to the business. If they don't have those scissors, they can't cut hair, they're not making money. Okay? And then labour is employees. Okay? Labour's the employees itself, okay? Very straightforward. And then, just for the sake of it, what does substitution mean?
Situation.
It's what, sorry?
She wrote situation for substitution.
Does anyone have white out?
What substitution mean? What does that imply?
You're
Yeah.
changing,
You're swapping, thank you.
substituting.
You substitute.
You're swapping. This is something that
Bench.
Thank you.
businesses, this is something that businesses really need to take into account. Okay, they need to look at, okay, how much or how little do we swap around that whole, machinery, technology to human ratio? Okay, and it comes down to a few factors, mainly price. Is it cheaper to just have more employees or to buy more machines? Okay, and then what's going to be most productive? So we've got
We can tell you that.
workers. Okay, and they've got.
Oh, jeez.
Let's say they've got three machines that make something. Okay, they make stuff. Doesn't matter what they make.
Fleet of them.
But, so the business then needs to work out. Is it better off to get more machines, more capital, or is it better off to get more humans? And it comes down to a few. It comes down to a few little factors here. Let's say we've got an even mix. Okay, one person's got one machine. One person works at one machine. Okay, simple math. What happens if one of those machines all of a sudden breaks down? What's going to happen to that third person? Well, if they're not doing anything, what's the business word if they're not doing anything? They're not productive, thank you. They're not productive. They're not making money. They're actually costing money because they still need to get paid for their day. Okay, this is a very simple explanation. Okay, what if we had, let's say we had those 3 machines and there's 3 people, and one of these people went on their, let's say they went on long service leave. They took 2 weeks off to go on holidays. What's going to happen to that third machine?
Someone just press it, leave it, and then go back to the other machine.
Okay, let's say that machine needs someone always there to work it. It's not like a press and forget. Someone has to be there. What happens to that machine?
Then they're going to have to cover somebody's shift.
So that's going to cost money, but it also means that that machine is not going to be as productive as it normally is as well. So the company needs to work out, okay, well, what are we going to do? If all they need, if that's the bare minimum they need, okay, if that's the bare minimum they need, they might have, let's say, they might have bought a third machine and just say, we only need 2 people because if one of those 3 machines breaks down, while that's getting fixed, those 2 people can then go off and do a job on the other 2. It's okay, it's all good. If they go in the other direction and they hire an extra person, okay, and they only had 2 machines, when this person goes on holidays, okay, they take their leave, there's still 2 people there that are able to actually work and be productive and do something.
That's when substitution comes into place.
Well, that's when they need to work out, okay, well, how much do we swap and where do we stop? And is it worth our while? How much is it going to cost? The only issue with that is, if all of a sudden you've got all these machines, what's happening to people?
No jobs.
No jobs, no money, no income, no...